The topic of this Headless Professor video is the proper use of terminology. In every academic field, there is a need for precise use of terms. Some of these terms are used in regular conversation in a much broader, vaguer context. But when you're working as a professional, as an expert in a particular field, you have to use the terms precisely. For example, if you are a patient and you walk into a clinic, you might say, "I have a stomach ache." Now that may refer to the abdomen in general. Within anatomy and physiology, stomach refers to one specific organ within that general area. You might walk into a police station as a victim of crime and say, "I've been robbed." Now, of course, police officers, lawyers, and judges know that robbery is not theft in general, but robbery is one very specific form of theft, which is involving a use of force or the threat of force. And if you walk into your accountant's office as a client, you might say, "I had an income of $100,000 last year," as the operator of a small business. Well, your accountant will help you determine if your revenue of $100,000 in sales really amounts to an income of $100,000. You have to look at your various costs of operating your business as well before you can determine your actual income. Well, in the field of psychology, we have a lot of terms that are frequently misused in everyday conversation that people who work in psychology as clinicians or researchers must use in a more limited, precise context. For example, attitude. That does not refer to a person's traits of character. An attitude is a tendency to respond to a social stimulus. Experiment does not refer to any type of research, but only to those forms of research in which an independent variable is manipulated. Now you can use the verb to feel when you are describing a tactile sense. Oh, it feels smooth, it feels rough, it feels sticky. I feel hot, I feel cold. You can also use it to describe an emotional situation. I feel sad, I feel happy. But do not use it to introduce your position on some topic. Don't say, "I feel that." Hysterical. This does not mean anxious, upset, or agitated. This refers to a specific sort of mental disorder. Actually, it is an older term referring to mental disorders that are now known as conversion reactions or dissociative disorders. Paranoid. Many students initially use this term to describe any sort of anxiety or worry. Actually, paranoid refers to great suspiciousness about the motives of others. Reliable. A test or measurement which is reliable is one that measures consistently. That does not necessarily mean that the test measures what it is supposed to measure. That's a different term, validity. Science. Some people use this term to talk about any form of knowledge. Certainly that's the way the Scientologists use the term. When we refer to something as a science, we refer to knowledge using a specific method, the empirical method of research as its foundation. When we say that something is skewed, we're usually talking about a variable having a few very extreme high or low scores in a non-symmetrical distribution. We're not talking about any particular flaw in the method of gathering data. We're not talking about some kind of bias on the part of the researcher. Simply that the distribution of scores is not symmetrical around the mean. And when we say that a correlation is spurious, we don't mean that the correlation is attributable to pure chance. That's the null hypothesis. A spurious correlation may be very strong, statistically significant. It merely means that neither variable is the cause of the other. So, if you want to be scientific, please use this kind of terminology in as precise a way as you can.